I'll read because I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I feel
Okay.
like you can't keep people
Ready?
inside, but
Okay. Okay. Let me do something real quick. Hey, everybody. This is a good servant with right the hand and Tom. This is another Raw Talk, and please leave comments about what you'd like us to discuss, and if you'd like to come on the show, put down what you'd like to talk about, and we'd love to have you on. All right, we have a special show today. Everybody is on lockdown. All right, go ahead, buddy.
all right. So hang on, let me just up the. So I was going through the lockdown document. Okay, so they told everybody, of course, oh hey, you got to go through. So it says assembly people. This is the actual law. I'm reading you everybody the actual law. So it
Okay.
says people shall remain in their homes except for leaving the home for essential activities. For purposes of this emergency orders, individuals may leave their residence only for the following essential services. Okay, now there's an A, a B, a C, a D. Now, I don't really care about anything except for C, because C says you are allowed to leave your house for, and read C, outdoor activity. Now, outdoor activity can be qualified as basically anything. You can say,
Mhm.
I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a hike, I want to get some fresh air. So, what this is not a stay at home order because they have no right to have you stay at home if you actually read the document. What this is them telling you, well, we're going to give you a suggestion and you're most likely going to listen because you'll give yourself a reason to stay home.
All right.
Have any of you guys ever watched First Amendment auditors on YouTube when they go and film in public, like
Yeah.
in, okay,
Yeah.
it's the same thing there. Cops always come, demand ID, threaten to put you in jail, and if you know your law and can stand your ground and don't get intimidated, they end up walking away without the ID. This is the same thing. The only problem is you better know the law, you better stay cool, and you got to have a big set of cojones because it's not easy to do because we're so brainwashed, into thinking that these people actually have authority over us when they don't.
Right. We consent. You know.
Exactly. And they scare you into consent.
That's
Like
right.
right the hand was just saying, if you just want to, I mean, if I want to go out fishing, that's outdoor activity. They can't stop me because they always have to do it by law. And until martial law comes, they have to follow the Constitution. I don't know why they do, but they always do. You,
It's I don't know if you've ever seen The Matrix, and this is the whole. This is why The Matrix. I mean, it's beautiful when they were talking about Agent Smith. Now, one of his Agent Smith only had one limitation, and this is where he failed against Neo in every time. And his limitation was he is bound by the laws of the system. Now, they are bound by those exact same laws, and one of those
yes,
laws is they cannot tell you what to do. So if you look through all of the terms of services and you actually read it, it goes, if you want to, you have the right to. Like that's if you
right.
want to stay inside, you can stay inside, but that's your choice. Like you, and they're just, it would they picture like they have guys with guns standing outside your house, and you know they can't do nothing. You know,
Right,
you read the law, you're like, yo, I know you can't do anything. They're gonna point the like, don't move. Like, I know you can't do fucking shit. You ain't gonna shoot shit. All you're
right.
doing is barking. That's all you're doing. Woof, woof, woof. Big barks. Get the fuck out of my way. I'm walking. And I truly believe
Well,
they cannot shoot you. They'll be like, don't, they
Right,
can't.
you're right. The only thing is once in a while, because they are human too, just like when you watch those First Amendment audits, sometimes they get arrested, sometimes people get shot. Now, I mean, and that's the risk you're taking is some uneducated, steroid induced piece of shit, because that's what they are.
Oh,
You know what
yeah,
I
they're
mean?
all
So,
fuck, all grown
yeah.
up shit.
So, I mean, if you do that, and I don't, um, how can I say this? I don't care if anyone does or not. I mean, when I watch these First Amendment auditors, the really good ones. I'm like, man, would I like to spend a week with them guys because it's awesome how they stand up for their rights. They're never intimidated, you know, and that's how I wish if the whole
this,
country was like that, this
yeah,
wouldn't be happening at all.
I almost wonder with those guys when they're out, standing up to some people, like if like when I watch them, I always wonder if like they already know the outcome when they go there. Like it's some kind of, I'm not saying contrived, but yeah, contrived. You know, where they go, oh, we're gonna show up there, and these people are in cahoots with us or whatever, and you know, it's gonna look like we're standing our ground or whatever. But it's like it's more set up. You know,
Do
it's
you
not
really
like
think a police department is gonna do that?
no,
Yeah,
but like
check out.
For real, they want nothing more than to control you and to take your head and slam it into their car.
no, I
Bro, Rush
understand that.
had a video where the auditor gave a Masonic handshake to the cop.
I've
So
seen that. I've
yeah,
seen that.
so look, I'm not saying all. I believe there are some auditors. Yeah, I truly believe there's some. I've seen
Most of them are legit.
the dude that just stands there. There's one guy. He doesn't speak. He'll just stand there. Like I think that
Yeah,
dude's legit. Seems like a And the thing about too, I don't think that like the shootings. I think a lot of the shootings are fake because they want you to think you'll get shot. Like I think if somebody does get shot, like in a real, I think they truly punish that cop or what they get rid of him
sure
because like
they do.
we can't have this. So like the fake shootings where it's like, oh, this cop he was reassigned. I think those are fake shootings because it's more like they want you to think. It's like you know what I mean. It's they
No,
want you to.
absolutely. And I'm talking about like say that I'll tell you kind of how they are. And I've never seen an auditor get shot. I've seen them get guns pulled out on them though. But like that one female cop that walks she thinks she's in her apartment and she's in the wrong one. And so all of a sudden she's in an apartment with her and there's a black guy in there and she shoots and kills him. And you know what I mean? Now she just got, and this is
Yeah.
just
So
recent.
that,
I mean,
I
so
think that's
there's
a
people
story.
that freak.
To
There's
me,
people
that
who should not be public servants because that's what they are. They're not cops. They're public servants. You know, that should not have
that
a
whole
gun.
thing with that girl, I think that was a complete fabrication.
I don't. There's just
I
too
think
much I
that was.
seen on it that is too legit. I think she was high. You know what I mean? I think she was on drugs.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't know. To me, that's just like because what I think they're doing, they're pushing this whole. They want bad cops, right? Because their thing
Most of
is
them are.
you can replace a cop with a robot. That's what they want. They want a robotic cop. Now, a robot cop doesn't have any, you can't reason with it. And this is the devil. The devil, he wants absolute, complete control over his minions, okay? Now, he always thought God was stupid for making humans with free will. Because he was, to the devil, it's like, why would you give me free will? I just went against you, fucking dumbass. But he doesn't understand. So he wants everybody, whatever the devil has, he wants it to be completely devout to him, and humans are not. So he's going to use these cop shootings to be like, look, a robot can't be racist. So you don't have to, a robot can't be sexist. You don't have to worry about a robot raping a female suspect. You don't have to worry about a robot abusing a suspect. It just won't do it. And this is how they're going to usher in robotic uh, control. And because that's absolute.
More
There
AI,
is no,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? There's no reasoning. There's no reasoning with a computer. It'll just go, no,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
know that's where they want to get it to. How close they are to that, I don't know. I don't think there's enough time left on this earth to get there.
We're very close.
That,
We're very close to the end. You know, like I know that there's like a few little checkpoints that need to happen before, and it seems like that could be a long time. But I know that once things roll, things could go pretty quickly. You know,
yeah,
and like I really do feel like whatever this is that we're in now. I mean, it's obviously even if it's a real flu, it's not it's not um you know a typical reaction to something like this, right? A shutdown, right? And I think that it's possible that there's going to be a financial reset
oh,
and some
huge.
kind of vaccine, and there could be the mark and the Antichrist could come out of this. I mean, that's how serious it could be, or it could go back to being normal. But I'm leaning on what I'm feeling in the first instance.
I know no doubt they're going to do away with the cash. It's going to be go to the one world currency type thing. I mean, I'll tell you, my buddy just sent me a text here about 10 minutes ago, and I haven't had a chance to research it yet. But he's like, U.S. digital dollar stripped from the bill. The effing Republicans tried to push it. It'll pass when the election come around. So I don't know if what that exactly means about the digital dollar was stripped from the bill.
Well, they want to put in Nicera, which is a company that's like they want to do a financial reset, and then they want to do a jubilee, which is like they would forgive everybody their debts.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
yeah. and then
That'll,
they want
I
to
think
yeah, go ahead.
that'll be part of the beast is they'll forgive your debt and give you universal income if you take, you know, I don't know if it is the mark, but I think that'll be part. They'll forgive all of your debt and you get an income, but it's, you got to sign over, whatever.
Right. And Chris, did you watch that Worldly Parables video? So we
Oh,
Uh,
just put it.
that was
ma-
awesome. You did a great job on that.
But the only thing I was trying to, the point I want to make on that is like kind of goes along with what we're talking about, how they have to give you the choice. They can't sneak that
That's
mark
right.
in. You will have to know, I mean, Christ spoke in parables, then he gave the explanation. I think Satan, how he runs this world, he has to put it in the movies, in the music. He has to put it out there and give you the choice. You have to know what you're doing. I don't think they can drug you, knock you out, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you got a tat on your forehead. So like they're showing you what's coming. They play out the part. You can't. You're not going to be deceived in knowing when you get that mark. You'll know exactly what you're doing. I guess that's the kind of point I was trying
choice.
to make is
They
be
have
awake. Look
choice.
what's going on. They're showing you what they're doing, and then they implement it. Wake up.
That's right. Well, I used to
Yeah,
think, right,
that's why I
this
think
is
vaccines have to be injectable because it's like you have to choose that download. You have to choose to be your open closed system to be broken open. It must be a choice where like they can't just slip it in the food where you don't get a choice.
Right.
a choice. Well, here's the thing, right? I used to think, right, that things happened in the world and then they would match up to the Bible, and I'm like, why are these people doing this if they know what the Bible says, Like, why is it so overt, right? But now, right, I have this really strong feeling that it's not that what they're doing is matching up with the Bible. It's that we are in Revelation. It's
Absolutely.
happening, right? And we are living it. It's not about them matching the Bible or the Bible matching them. The story is us, and it is happening the way it's written, just because that's how it's written. And our free choice, right? Our free choice is between loving God, accepting God, and not accepting God, right? And what we're doing feels, I feel like it's very limited what we could really do, but it feels so free, right? But like I really believe deep down my spirit, right? I was made to love God. Like I just want to love God right now. And I think that He wants us to choose that or not,
Hey,
so that it would be real.
you want to hear something funny? So,
Uh,
coming into work this morning, I didn't know if
yeah.
I'd be able to get in or not. But and
Mhm.
there's no
Really.
traffic this morning. But what do I see getting coming down the highway? A frickin' Budweiser truck. So evidently beer is essential. I mean, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Bro,
The
so
whole world
here,
is shut down, but they can deliver Budweiser.
That's right.
this is how I knew something was up. I drove down to Delray to see my mom, right? Bro, there's nothing but construction, okay,
Yep.
in Gainesville, and nobody's stopping the construction. It's just going like they're forging ahead. Like, nah, nothing. Don't worry about it. It'll be over. It'll be over. I'd be like, yo, if I was building a multi-million-dollar fucking structure and like everything's shutting down around me, I'd be like, hold on, pull the fucking cash flow into that project. We're gonna hold off and see what happens. They're like, nah, just keep fucking building. I'm like, somebody knows. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like somebody knows that
Absolutely.
something's like this is. I mean, I think it'll get worse, but I don't think this is the one. I think this is more like prepping for the one. They're like, let's see how they'll handle lockdowns. Because the first
Well,
time they did a lockdown was that Boston massacre bombing, right? They said, oh well, we can use because here's the thing. Everybody's like waiting for this next nine. I had this kind of thought. I was like, when's the next 9/11, right? When's that we can see it thing going to happen, right? And I don't think they're going to do that again because one, 9/11 kind of like woke a lot of people up, and two, like one, it's because it's hard to pull off a visual event. Is people can see it, they can scrutinize it. Now, this is the beauty of this COVID-19. Like, it doesn't need any verification except, and here's the beauty. Except for their faith in the system. They already have the faith in the system because of the ball and because of everything. So they don't need to blow up these towers. They don't need to show you this huge, massive explosion. They just go, oh, there's some kind of invisible infectious virus, everybody has to stay in their homes. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, where they were like they were basically afraid of some demonic entity, so everybody lived their lives with blindfolds on. And I'm like, I feel like that's what everybody's doing. Like they're living their life with
Well,
blindfolds on because of they're afraid of something that they've never seen.
here's the thing though, like 9/11, what that did was bring in the Patriot Act. Okay, so that works flawlessly. Now they bring in this to get, to where they just tell you just stay home like a good little
Hmm.
boy and
They
girl,
passed
and
a
you
new act.
do. I mean, they didn't have to fire a shot, roll out a tank, show
Nope.
anybody drop in the street dead. They just
Nope.
told you to stay home, wash your hands, and don't talk to nobody, and it frickin' worked. I
Yeah.
mean, there wasn't a single case in about 40 states, and I couldn't buy toilet paper in this state. I mean, that's how pathetic people are, how sheep they are.
Yeah, all because they were
Yeah,
told to, and this is you're told they were told buy toilet paper. Okay, gotta go buy
absolutely.
toilet paper. I'm like, come on, bro.
Oh my God. I mean, it just shows you how dumb we have
Yeah.
become.
Well, and the part of the thing is like first you got to convince somebody they're smart. And that's like, that's where Ball Earth, that's where that all ties in. You hear these explanations that are just like so long-winded and just have so much like, I would call it detail, but it's like double talk. And you're like,
Yeah,
man, it's got to be true. Look how smart they are to come up with all of this. And it's like, bro, it's like James Cameron he made up like Pandora, a planet that didn't even exist. He created an entire race of people that didn't exist with backstories and a culture and a history. You know what I mean? They do
right,
this shit every day. They love
right,
making stories.
right. And I mean, and they're getting all these ideas from Satan because it's how he's just deceived and tricked the world. I mean,
Yeah, and then
everything's
think about even the tree. There was a big tree in Pandora that they lived in. You know?
that tree was like their tree. It was like their tree of life, basically. I mean, that was where all the knowledge and everything was, right?
Yeah,
And
and
you
all
go
the
tap
it was all
into that
connected,
thing,
and
and
yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. No, that
Well,
movie was phenomenal because it told a
the,
story, no doubt.
well, the thing that's hard for me right now is that, there's a lot of truth out there, right? But then, like, even within the truth community, there are people that aren't on our side, And I'm like, I can tell that that person is different than me. I don't want to call them out or whatever, but like, I know that that person doesn't have my best interest in mind. But it's like less and less people I am trusting, even in the truth community. You know what I mean? And I'm having
Yeah,
to like turn on my discernment way up and like really listen to somebody that I know is not good to hear what truth they have. And that's why I think that our show is important right now. And people have been craving like a little podcast to listen to or whatever. And I think that that we're doing a good thing. And I think by like we want to have um our subscribers on to talk about stuff. I think that's
absolutely.
good because we're a tight little community.
And everybody
And
got something to bring. Everybody knows something that someone else doesn't. It's all educational. Every time Chris is on and says something, I learn. When you do, I learn. Because we all hear bits and pieces from around the world from so many different people. And like I say, if you're going to go to one pastor your whole life to understand the Bible, you've lost 90% of what you're going to learn.
Bro, that's what they do with Flat Earth, man. Look at how many people get all of their info from Nathan Oakley. That's it.
Yeah, I
E-
agree.
e-
I agree.
every they went from getting all of their info from Neil Tyson to somebody else, and that's I'm just like, wow, you just went from one religion to another, and they know this. They know humans like. They know, like, oh, well, if it isn't this, then what is it? I see the ball. Or this is why they can't give up the ball. They're like, well, if it's not a ball, then what is it? Okay, you can't just sit in limbo for a couple fucking months until you figure it out. I have to hand feed you because they've been like conditioned to never think. Like, oh, well, if it's not this, well, what is? Tell me what it is. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you'll admit it's not this. Yes. Okay, so then what is it? I don't know. All right, so you're just going to go back to thinking what it's not? Yep. All right, well,
And what that reminds me of when Kent Holbein was debating this college professor, and the guy was just whooped on the evolution creation thing, okay? So the professor, one of his comments was, well, if we're not going to teach him evolution, well, what are we going to teach him? So like you say, because we know it's not true, but we have nothing else to teach him, we have to teach him that. I mean, believe me, there's a lot of good science out there that you can teach kids that they'd love to hear and learn. It doesn't have to always be a lie. make believe. And it's the same thing with this, you know. I mean,
That's
okay,
the
we know the
truth.
Earth isn't a spinning ball flying through space. Well, let's go figure out what it is now. Give us $60 million a freaking day. I'll guarantee you we'll figure it out in a couple months.
Yeah. Or, even if it took a year, we'd
Mm-hmm.
find out a lot more about it. I mean, if people didn't like, if there wasn't this gravity, nonsense and all this other stuff, people would look at the sun and the moon, and if you believe that those are physical objects, you would be in awe of what, like, wow, like those things are in the air suspended, Like that would be an amazing sight, and you would have so much appreciation for God, But instead, they give you, an answer of why that's happening, Oh, this is the mechanism that makes that happen, and we have to know it. And here's the thing is like when you're in school as a little kid and someone's teaching you a creation story that's not God, that's evil. That's not,
Mm-hmm.
protecting your rights and separation of church and state, right? That's not freedom of religion, because what freedom of religion is, ultimate death, If you're telling somebody a lie, right? Then you're really cutting down on their chances of finding the truth. And so why?
It's not even a creation story. They don't even know. They say we don't know.
Right.
But here's the thing: they teach a creation story, right? Like the Big Bang and the evolution and dinosaurs and all this crap, right? But it's not. None of it's true, and none of it's even possible. You know, that's the
Yeah,
crazy.
that's why you ask them, how did this all happen? Oh, we don't know. We don't know what happened before. Well, if you
You
don't
want
know what happened what before, then what good is telling me the story in the middle, right? My story has a beginning. God
Right.
started, in the beginning. I know what happened. You don't know what happened in the beginning. You basically, to be honest with you, if you believe the world is as old as it is, like the last page, maybe. Think about how much they don't know. If you're like, it's just crazy. They could not know
here's
half.
And the
here's
reason being is because that flood, God wiped all that away, so you can't really tell exactly the dates. Plus the different calendars they've changed to, but when so much history was lost during that flood, but he left enough around to let us know, man, he was here 6,000 years ago.
hey, well, and here's the thing, like not only like how did we get here, right? How did this happen, right? But I mean, the ultimate question really is, why would this even be a thing? Why would this? You know what I mean? Like, if there wasn't a God or a plan or whatever, why would this? What space did it form into? Like all the stuff came from the God. I mean, come on, man. Like this wouldn't be a thing. This would be nothing if it was a random deal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, and this is where it comes to explanation. What's their explanation? Oh, and if there was nothing happening, right? Nothing was kind of happening. Nothing was kind of happening, and then something happened.
so
Like
to
that's
have this
that's
stuff,
that's not a good explanation, dude. That makes no fucking sense.
right? Like where is the where okay, so if everything happened in a bang, right, it has to like release itself into something, right? And where were all the rules, right, of how this material would act? Where did those rules come from? Like, things fall and this burns and that doesn't, and like where did all those rules come from, right? You'd have to assume that a lot of things were already here before that dot exploded.
Well, dude,
And
check this out. I mean, so the Earth they claim is 25,000 miles around, roughly, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's a figure, something like
what
that. But I
whatever.
mean, let's just give them just the Earth alone 25,000 miles around in circumference, okay? And all that fit on a dot of a pin. It was smaller
Yeah,
than I mean,
man.
well, how did it get so freaking big then? That's just one freaking
And we're a
rock.
speck. Among
I
all
mean,
this stuff, we're a little speck.
think about that. I mean, for
Yeah.
real?
Well, how about think about I'll ask them this. And we were actually it went from viruses, right? We're talking about virus. I'm like, all right, so if viruses can't be by themselves, where did they come from? And they were like, well, there was some matter, and then matter got like
Oh,
corrupted. And
get out
okay,
of
well,
here.
where did the matter come from? Right?
Right.
So they don't believe matter is eternal, okay, because it has a half-life, right? And that's how they figured out how old the Earth is. Okay, so if matter's not eternal, where did it come from? and they have they have nothing. They cannot. I mean, ask anybody that be like, yo, just where did all this stuff come from? Was it just always here? They're stuck in a logical conundrum. The matter was either always here, which makes it eternal and impossible, and then you can't tell the age, or it had to have come from somewhere, and now you have to admit some kind of creator, and that's to
Dude.
me, that's the proof of God.
And
You
I
can't do
like just
anything
how
about
they
that.
say what the half life is, and no one's lived long enough to see it ever reach
Oh,
half life. You know what I'm saying?
it's got a half-life of 7 trillion years. You've been alive for 6 months. How do you know that it has a half-life of 7 trillion years? You've been
Yeah,
observing it for
yeah.
0.00001%. Oh, well, if you take this rate and continue it on, well, what if the rate changes? Well, you just assume it doesn't. Well,
That's all it is. Yep, yep.
hey,
Right.
people believe it. It's good, and here's the thing. They just needed something, right?
Anything. Yep.
Anything that's not God, they would say, just get whatever that, and that's what they're saying. Just give me something that isn't God. Jesus, I don't want God to be the reason. And like, okay, a spinning ball with water in a vacuum chamber. Okay, good. Fuck it, I'll take it. It's not God. Whatever. Woo!
It
Man,
just said,
Did you see that
oh,
we were almost responsible for our actions, Tom and Steve? Oh boy, that was a close one.
I almost had to go to work and earn a living, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I
it's
mean,
like, oh my God.
hey, it is what it is, man. And I'm like, yo, all these people, they're, I went to a friend's and just seen like their entire family knew it, and I was just like, it's so crazy how some people just see it and other people just don't see it. We see it, and then other people just don't see it. Like in I heard you talking about your brother who was like, oh yeah, I'm a Freemason, a
I was
free one
just
at
gonna
that.
ask you that. Yeah,
I was like, yo, my brother. I'm like, I feel like my brother's gonna tell me he's a fucking Freemason soon, dude.
and I couldn't believe it for last since I've been into this flat Earth. I mean, 5 6 years. I mean, I've sent him a lot of really good content and a lot of stuff, and I always get the most stupid text back. I mean, just
Oh yeah, right.
and like
And
it's so stupid.
he's a
And the other
smart man, I'm
day,
sure. Like
well,
he was as smart as you growing up. You're like,
yeah. So like, must have been Sunday or Monday. I sent him a video, and again, it's like I'm thinking, I'm like, praying. There's no way anybody can be that freaking stupid. So I'm like, there's something in that text that made me think it was Masonic. And if you want, I'll find it and I'll read it to you. The portion that made
no,
me think that.
I believe it, man. And because it's like, bro, it's like Masonic is satanic,
Yeah,
and
that's what it
it all
is.
comes back to, man, if you don't believe, bro, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you don't believe in God, well, then what do you believe in?
Check
You
this
got
out. A part
the
about the
devil.
all seeing eye. He goes, all seeing eye means what? Question mark. Was what early Christian used for God watching over humanity. The
No,
horizon is lost. So I'm like, dude, are you a Mason? He's like, a free one at that. So it's like that one. If he wouldn't have said that about the eye, the all-seeing eye, and I knew that was satanic Luciferian when he said that. If he wouldn't have put it in there, I still wouldn't have it crossed my mind about him being a Mason. But sure as
So
shit,
that's heartbreaking to me,
man, yeah, it is, Steve.
yeah,
So
he signed on to the other. Well, and again, I'm like, w- would you choose who are you going to choose, your family or God? And I think that's part of this life. That's why I believe this life is what it is, because
Yeah,
it has to seem like, what does it mean if you chose God over a bunch of like rapists and pedophiles? You know what I mean? It would, but if your own family is speaking satanic, will you have the faith and fortitude in your beliefs and be like, yo, sorry, no.
absolutely, I will be. And I hate to say it, but
yeah, I mean, it's hard because see, I'm lucky because my mom and my brother and most of my family is saved. I'm really working hard on getting my kids saved. They got to really feel that it's real. And I think if I set a good example, maybe they'll see it. But and I think my oldest one, is more open to it. But I'm lucky in the sense that everyone's saved mostly, but when I start talking like truth stuff, it's like they really reject it, and it's stuff that like it's stuff that I could prove, like it's like, oh, I can show you the evidence or whatever. But what's really disheartening is when they don't look at it and then they take the opposing view of what you're saying, and you're like, well, at least look at it and say, hey, look, I looked at the thing and I disagree, because I know that once you watch it, right? Because everyone that I've sent it to that has watched it is a flat earther now,
Right.
and it's hard to
They
see
don't
it.
even want to have the conversation. They don't want to do it. They won't.
It's
They won't
hard,
do it. My brother won't even. He won't even. I'll be like, yeah, but what about people upside down under your feet? And he's just like, but this doesn't affect my life. And I'm like, how does everything you know being alive not affect your life? Because you don't want to think about it. Of course, if you don't think about it, it doesn't affect your life. If somebody was cutting my arm off and I just looked the other way, I was like, man, it doesn't affect my life. No, yeah, of course it's not, until it's too late and the arm is falling off and I can't do anything. When are you going to
tell
say this is affecting my life?
You know what I tell people, Chris, is I'm like, hey, look, it's the first page of the Bible, man. I mean, it's the first page, it has to be important, you know what I mean? Or like we had one book that God could give us for our whole lives to lean on, right? And there's only so much in there. And on the first page, they talk about the earth, you know? So it's
Right.
got to be important, I mean, your worldview is important. You have to build your personality and your worldview and your perspective on a good foundation. If you're flying all over the place, then you're gonna have this YOLO mentality, like, oh, you only live once. I gotta take every chance I get. If someone wants to be sleazy, I gotta take that opportunity because I'll miss out. And that's once you know what you are and who you are and how few of us there really are and how special we are and how long we're going to live, 'cause a billion years is a poof to eternity, you know,
Right.
and,
Right.
and, that's what we are, and if we can't show a little restraint and a little respect for God for 50, 60, 70, 100 years, right? Out of all of that, I mean, come on. He said that the place he has created for us, right, is beyond his own words, I mean,
Right.
that's
And just getting
amazing.
back to the about the family thing, you
Yeah,
look in Mark chapter 3, okay? There's a multitude around Jesus, and they told him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren seek thee. And he answered, who is my mother or my brethren? Then it goes on 2 verses later. This is 3:35 in Mark. For whosoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother and my sister and mother. So I
Yeah,
understand having blood
yeah,
um,
blood. Yeah, that's
is one thing, but this, if they're not a Christian, if they're not born again, those are that's your family.
So let me say two things on that. First, the whole
Sure.
saying "blood is thicker than water." That's not the whole saying. Originally, from my understanding, it's the blood of the battlefield is thicker than the water of the womb, and it means that just because you're born into a family doesn't mean you're going to be as tight with somebody who you went through experiences with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
So now, on the family, this is me and my brother don't talk. Now he doesn't talk to me, right? I'll text him. He won't talk to me. Now the reason he doesn't talk to me is because when I found Jesus, right, and I found God and all that, he was like, "Oh, you're going to stop." This is what he told me. He's like, "You're going to stop talking to me because of your beliefs." And I was like, "I don't think that's going to happen, but whatever." So we started talking, and like I'm asking him certain things, right? And he's like, well, you're just the whole point is to just not hurt anybody and just have fun, just enjoy yourself in life. And I'm like, wait, so just like do what you want? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So he has a daughter that he didn't raise. It's not his biological daughter, but he raised her with an ex-girlfriend. So he'll swear that it's his daughter and he'll do anything for her. He'll die for her. He's told me, right? He told me he would die for this girl. So I go, okay, let's say your daughter came to you and was like, you know what would make me happy, Dad? If I became a prostitute. You know what he told me? He was like, I would encourage her to do whatever makes her happy. And I said, you would encourage your daughter to become a prostitute. And then he just that was when he just started and I was like, where did that come from? What beliefs led you to say that? And that's when he stopped talking to me. And I was
Right.
like, you know how funny, and this is one of the last things that I texted him. I was like, you know how funny it is? You told me I was going to stop talking to you because of my beliefs, but you had to stop talking to me because of yours. Because anytime I see him, I'll just go, hey, do you remember when you said you would be okay with your daughter being, do you still stand by that? Do you change on that? And he's like, what are you judging me, bro? And he will not address it. So I'll be like, fine. If you don't want to talk to me because I only want to know about what makes you shitty, then fine. So you can ask. I'll say things. Ask me why why I'm generous. I'll tell you, because I don't think the material world that we live in is something that we should hold any attachment to. So I give away shit because
Absolutely.
that's what I feel it teaches you a lesson. I can explain my beliefs. You can't explain what led you to say that your daughter should be a prostitute because it's
Here's the
satanic.
thing, Chris. Here's the thing, right? Is that for me, when I was growing up, right, there wasn't a lot of pressure on me religiously, right? So, like, honestly, like learning what I learned in school, I'm like, man, it like the idea of God doesn't even sound like reasonable to believe in, you know? Like, I wasn't like a God guy, right? And what I want people to understand, right, is that I wouldn't believe in anything if it wasn't real. You know what I mean? And it's not.
Exactly. I wasn't a God. I used to tell people, I was like, look, unless God comes down and stands in front of me, puts his fucking hand on my shoulder and says, Christopher Zielinski, who was born on blah, 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 I'm real. Until that happens, I'm not believing in him. Right? I said that. I said those words, and here I am. I still have not. He never came down and
Well, I'll
put his
tell you
hand on my
something.
shoulder, but I believe in
It's
him.
it's funny because I kind of got a little bit of an opposite thing. Is like I was nowhere near grew up in a Christian household at all. No, I mean, didn't know anything about it. But I remember at a young age always praying, and I remember even thinking,
Yeah,
why? Why am I praying? I didn't know. I mean, I even would ask God questions, thinking when I'd get older, He'd answer them because I knew I couldn't understand. Because that's how young I was.
believing in God, like, oh
Yeah,
God.
and I don't know why I did, but I remember really just praying all the time, and I didn't even know anything about it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
we
so
all
it's
know. We all know
true.
he's real.
Uh,
Like,
we,
subconsciously, like we're all
Yep.
like, we didn't just show up one day. It just wasn't like poof, here's humans. Come on, we all
It's
Chris,
knew that
written
we
on
have
our
a
hearts,
father.
right?
Chris, you
Yeah.
know this. I was talking to this guy, right? I forget who it was. I was debating this guy, on chat somewhere, and I said, having a lot of knowledge and being smart are two different things. I said, maybe you're gonna have to drop the knowledge that you know to continue to be a smart person. Because a lot of these ballers think that if they have to get rid of all this knowledge they know about the ball and physics and all that, that they're not smart anymore. Because that's their edge on humanity, is that they know a lot about the ball. And
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 it's
this guy
they'll
told me,
say
are
that
you?
about us. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
you're only a flat earther because you want to be ahead of everybody. You want to think because they're projecting.
right.
That's exactly what they think.
No, but here's the thing. This guy told me knowledge and being smart are the same thing.
Wow. No,
I know. I
no.
was like, I was,
No,
I was like, I was like, you're
not at
better
all.
than knowing anything,
Smart is how
man.
you process knowledge.
Right, right. How quickly you process information, But they think it's how much you know. It's
A
unbelievable.
parrot can recite the dictionary in an encyclopedia. Does that mean a parrot's smart? No, it's just
I mean, look at them African grays. They say they what can learn like 2 or 3 thousand words, and it's
Yeah.
just a bird. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And like you say, they don't know a single thing what they're saying. It's
Or-
just like you say when someone actually says all you do is parrot, like when I say it, believe me, I know the meaning behind it. When I say like 10th man, and I'll cut this part out. I can't
Yeah.
stand that guy for some reason.
Oh my
'Cause all
God!
he can
Don't
do is
you
parrot.
can you don't even got to
Well,
cut this part out. I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Tenth man. Let me tell you something.
I
Tenth
do it just
man
for Steve.
is
You
supposed to
my bro,
be
Steve.
the tenth man is supposed to. The whole idea of the tenth man is to always question, like always question. And yeah, they're just the whole. It's just a panel of parrots, And they went from parroting, like I said, they went from parroting Neil Ticey to parroting someone else. I even
I'll
caught myself doing it.
I'll
So,
give
and
you
that's where I
your
was like, man,
10th
if I
man is
can fall
paying
for
big
it,
money to be on that panel.
oh yeah, we could be on that panel if we
you
want.
think so?
Oh, I know. So there's no way they let someone that stupid. Just when he talks, just his voice alone is enough for I'd never let him on our channel.
Yeah, and he does say he has a boat that he takes to Catalina, which is like that's not cheap. Over there in California, riding
No,
out to
he.
Catalina Island, you got to
Hey,
be pretty
did you
I
pretty
think
rolling
diamond?
dude
in
got some
dough.
money. Yeah, I think dude was successful in life, which is fine. I have no problem again. I don't care if he's a multi-trillionaire, but he
Tom,
ain't on that show because of his
Hey, he
knowledge.
didn't earn that money being that stupid, I'll tell you that.
hey, Tom, remember that ring that he
That's
had
good
on his
stuff.
hand during that cooking show? He had that big old diamond on his hand,
Yeah,
like a
I know.
girl. Look at the girl's
Like a
ring, but
girl. He
big.
wore. Yeah, he had a
Wait,
diamond. A
who's it?
woman's.
What?
10th Man got
Who had
his
this?
own show now, a cooking show.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
He don't show his face. It's called 10th Man Dishes, all one word.
Oh, I
Um,
gotta find this.
and
Oh, he is gonna get
I
found
sent
out.
I
No,
sent Steve that clip where if you pause it
He
just
wears
right,
a diamond
he's
ring.
got a wedding ring like a woman, like an
yeah,
engagement ring.
huge diamond.
Oh my god! I told bro, I didn't even need to see the fucking ring. I didn't even need to see the ring. And I was like, yo, I guarantee you, 10th Man drives some sort of luxury vehicle, right?
Yeah,
Nobody has
He's
a
driving a
boat
Benz.
and
Yeah,
drive. You don't have a boat and drive a fucking Volvo. Get the fuck out of here, man.
right.
My
um,
parents have brand new fucking cars. My grandma has a like, yo, my family is in money. I've walked away from it, so I don't gotta listen to any shit. My grandpa had a Jaguar. My grandma had brand new Lexus, bro. Like a brand new cars. I know people who are not driving a piece of shit. Like you don't, bro. My truck is 16 years old. It's paid off. I'm gonna drive it till it's fucking 50 years old. Like
Mine's
I don't care.
14. Amen, brother. It
But
looks
I know,
good, but
like
it's not.
all I
anybody
got,
that's got a boat, bro, you are driving a new car.
yeah.
Right, right. No, yeah, when you're living out like that, I mean, even when you watch his show, you see his stove, his cookware. I mean, it's all top of the line stuff. But he'll never show his face, which I'm stunned. I'd love for him to show his face. In fact,
Bro,
there's
Hey,
one episode, and I wish I
listen,
would have downloaded it right away, and I didn't. It was on Nathan Oakley where he accidentally on the bottom where they kind of have the little icons of everybody. Well, he accidentally turned his camera on, and it showed him for just a split second. And I went back trying to find. I went through like a week's worth of Nathan's videos trying to find that because it was in the very beginning of it, when they were just kind of like doing the housekeeping, and I couldn't. So I think Nathan edited it out of there before. You know what I mean?
he's done it before.
Where he accidentally showed himself.
No. Where Nathan has edited out sections of his live stream
Oh yeah,
for
because
whatever
Nathan
reason.
actually, and most of his stuff isn't even live. It's all
Yeah,
most of the stuff is pre-recorded, and then they're in there, and a lot of it seems live. And
because
how
he
I
sits in
caught
the
it was
chat after.
yeah, and how I caught it is that they were doing that is like QE was talking, and all of a sudden he's answering questions in chat at the same time. I'm thinking there's no freaking way. He
no,
can't.
because Tom, he does a show in the morning that's live, and then the second show that he does is pre-recorded.
No, and I get that. I
They
understand, but what
record
I'm
the whole
saying,
show. He records 3 hours of material. He goes live with the 1 hour of it. Okay, then he'll take the entire thing, maybe cut out the end, or so usually he'll do 2 hours. 1 hour that he does live, then he'll record the 2 hours with the live, and then an hour after show, and then that's what he reposts on his other
and,
channel.
and I get that. And what I'm saying is, I think there's actually a delay. I mean, you know what I'm saying before it actually starts. Well, from what they do it on TV all the time. The
Oh
live
boy.
broadcast can be 10 minutes really
Oh yeah,
behind.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just in case there are mistakes or swear words, you know. But
Uh,
because I mean, like I say, that one with 10th Man, I mean,
Yeah,
he
anyone who's
showed it.
afraid to get their face shown, that's right then and there, man. I'm suspect.
And
Why don't you?
one of the smarter ones on that panel is that Paul Hall.
yeah, he's pretty smart.
I like that guy. When you listen to him, and if he makes a mistake, like someone will jump all over him, he'll apologize and say, "If I misspoke, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that." He don't attack nobody. I mean,
He doesn't take it.
at least he's like us. He's looking for truth. At least what I get from him.
He has no ego.
No, no.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll be the 10th man on this one. I'm not a fan of Paul. Now one of the reasons. Now here, this is one of the reasons why I'm not why I'm not a fan of nobody is because. So like I'm very outspoken. Steve knows. You guys know I'm very outspoken.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, so
kind of.
people like Paul who don't. When nobody's outspoken, but when I'm start saying it, so I started pushing him on like atoms and things, and let me tell you, he reverted to the exact same fucking default statements everybody else did. So I was like, you
Yeah,
know what, Paul, I got no respect for you because if I'm, you know, I'm the
I
type of
believe
person
that.
like, oh, you, if you see like an atom bouncing around, it's just like, okay, that sounds stupid. I don't need anything else. I'm like, yo, that sounds kind of stupid. And I'm like, yo, if you don't think that sounds kind of stupid, I think you're kind of stupid. So anybody that can be like, yo, I can, well, you know, we don't. I'm like, nah, you just
Yeah,
don't want to go against Nathan, and then that's why I think it is like, that's why when you were like, oh, I
absolutely.
think Tenth
And
Man pays to be on the show, I was like, oh, it's very interesting because there's like, it's like, you know, because I think Nathan's about to get much bigger, and I think what they're doing, everybody wants to, they don't want to rock the boat. Like even Righteous Force, I heard him like he was kind of he was like, oh well, you know, the Adams, they're kind of like, and Nathan was like, no, no, no. He was like, oh okay. He just totally like bowed his will. Like he you could tell he didn't agree with Nathan, but wouldn't go against him. And I was just like, yeah, why? Why would you be on a show and not, you know what I mean? And I think they've all like, look,
Well, I'll
we're
tell
going to
you
be
what.
famous. Just hang out
you
here.
For
know,
years, I've been watching and posting on Nathan's channel. Okay, it wasn't until a couple weeks ago, and I was just dogging because I'll. It was after Tenth Man had given Arwen a hard time. I went into Nathan's just specifically to try to get banned, and I was just hammering on Tenth Man. It's the only time Nathan's ever commented back to me and ended up calling me a fuckwit. And I just started laughing because he had, you know, he doesn't know the whole story behind it. And then within a few chats later, he was actually chatting back friendly stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's the only time ever. And I've made some great comments. I've you know, just asked him questions. Never once did he ever say anything back to that time I was hammering Tenth Man. And I even made a comment about how much does he pay. You know what Nathan texted me or typed me back in there? Go ask Dirth. Go, you know,
wow.
yep. He goes,
Bro, he
he's,
calls Dirt the boss.
yeah,
I tell you,
he,
they work for a company called Metatron. All you got to do is in chat go hail Metatron, and Nathan will go hail.
I've
Metatron is a
seen him do
government
that.
third. I don't know if you know what this is. So
I
Metatron,
don't.
okay, Metatron is a government contracted advertising data company run by Tim Osmond, Karen B. I'm pretty sure this is a Chocolate Sayins in there, Tenth Man's
Okay.
in there. They might use, so this company is also $7 million in debt, but it doesn't matter because they're government funded. And what they do is they're there to control internet information. So that's why basically that's what who provides for Nathan's show. Also, you know, they get the people to, you know, GoFundMe's and whatnot. But no, all of this. How do you think he gets the such a high level of, you know, advertising and where he gets all these people? And yeah, because he has an advertisement group. And I've seen the chats. There was this dude named Human Sheeple. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but
We've
it was a
seen
cool dude. He took over their server. So
Okay.
Karen B and all these people used to have a server. He was like a good coder, and he somehow managed to get control of the server. Bro, these people were pissed at him, and they were like, "Yo, we're gonna put you down." And you know, I'm telling you, I've seen the chats where
I
Karen B
believe you.
was like, "The truth, yeah, we have the truth, but who's to say we can't use the truth to make money?" And I was like, use the truth to make money? The fuck are you talking about? Nobody does that. You don't do that. And then you see how she's like pushing Bigfoot shit and
I
like
know.
how Dearth was on fucking Alex Jones, bro. I mean,
I
Dearth
know.
is,
I know.
you
And
know,
I, you know, and I like the guy. You know, he puts out some good content. But yeah,
of
when
course,
he
yeah.
he flat out said, ask him, he knows how that works, or he knows how that runs, or something like that. And I was like, oh my god, you know. And there's no way I was gonna go ask him. I could care less. That proved the point right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Let
They
me
gotta
ask
tell
you
you the
something
truth.
while we're on this, and maybe I'll cut it out. Maybe I won't. I'll leave it up to Steve.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I think there's definitely people who be like, "Yo, everybody's a tranny." I'm not, bro. You got to watch that Mark Sargent video. He does some weird fucking walk. Like he has this like Shills vs. Shills has
why
a or Trolls vs. Trolls. No, 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 Shills vs. Shills. He has a video where Mark Sargent's walking like a motherfucking beauty queen, bro. His legs are crossing as he walks. I'm like, that is the most feminine walk I have ever seen in my life from a dude. Like
But
it's
but
just,
I'll tell you what, there are feminine dudes and there are manly women. I mean, it just.
oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I
look at
remember growing up a family. There was a couple of boys and a couple of girls. The boys were like could play any music instrument you wanted. The girls were like superstars in track and in sports and stuff. You know, so you kind of be a little bit careful on some of that. But I think that
why
there are a lot of more trannies out there than what we're led to believe, especially in the music and movie industry.
It's
I
You
not
know,
think
about
so
there's I don't think there's real humans. I think the devil has been cloning or just been pumping
yeah,
out
real people. Is that
bodies,
yeah.
just
See, I don't
filler
believe that.
bodies. You know what I mean? And that's what I think these like MC Toon, like these people are just fillers. You know, it's just like a space filler, just so they can have 1,000 people that say God's fake and to see if you'll go along with it.
It's like there's only a few of us people created in God's image, and some people are just created just for their day of trouble. And it's like they repeat. Like there's people in your life that just repeat the same conversation. Every time you see them, they say the same shit. You
Bro,
or
I fucking know. My God.
know what I'm saying?
Chris, you were gonna say, what do you got going on there, Chris? What do you got me
No, no,
curious in something there? What happened?
no, that way that whole they repeat the same thing. It's like,
Yeah,
man, I know what I'm going to talk to when I meet some people, and I'm just like, do you not remember that we spoke about this? Is this something you just always talk about? Is this
Yeah,
like your programming? Like, can you not help it? Yeah, it's
weird,
I,
man.
I truly believe there's some they're not humans. There's like people,
Well,
you know,
listen
they'll
to,
look like a human, but they're not.
okay, listen to this. You know how in the Constitution it says, um, um, we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal, right? Why would you need to say that if it's true? You understand what I'm
Yeah, if it's
saying?
self-evident, yeah, if it's self-evident, it doesn't need to be stated.
You
So why
need
are
to
they
be
stating it? So that they
see
can be like, yo, we're more equal. What was it? What was it? It was like in fucking we're more equal than you are,
this
right?
deep, kind of hard to grasp, but I mean, there are like if you read the Bible, there's eunuchs, there's all kinds of different.
but they were eunuchs by choice. It says though. You got to put that in context.
Yeah, you're right, but
So I
there's
mean, if
false.
you
Listen, listen.
so I mean, if you choose to get your wiener schnitzel chopped off and put a vajayjay up in there, doesn't
Listen,
you know?
I
listen.
th I've
That's your
heard.
choice.
I don't know if you've heard Hans Wormhad talk on that. He was like, yo, the eunuchs were they would choose to be a eunuch because they would get a lot of power inside of a
Yes,
certain family. Now, the only
Yes.
reason they became eunuchs was so that they couldn't have their own bloodline, and that's why they were so highly trusted. So it was like you were trading,
right.
you
Okay,
know,
but
your
And
listen to
it was on a religious thing. It wasn't. I
okay,
mean,
right, but
they weren't.
Tom, listen to this. Tom, please listen to this, right?
Okay.
And no, this is what I got to say. I know this is weird, right? And I'm not saying that I subscribe to every weird thing I see. I always reel it back and make my doctrine simple, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But in Genesis 6, right, during the fallen angels, right, and they mixed with the women, that's a real thing. And I mean, we
Yep,
know that, right? And then in the Enoch, it describes it even further, right? Well, um, God said there was giants before and after the flood,
yep,
right? And so what I'm saying is there are bloodlines, right, that are mixed with angel blood, right, that are not like us. They're not like us. You know what I mean? And they keep that bloodline. They do a lot of incest. It's important to them to keep their blood. And if it was just regular people, right, you and me, regular people, and I was king and you're not, right, my blood wouldn't be any more special than yours. You
Well, and
understand what I'm
I
saying?
totally 100% agree with you, and that's why they have all these DNA tests that don't do nothing but get a sample of your blood, because I believe they're looking for that people who have that blood.
Right.
I also think
I
they don't
100% agree with that, Steve. Absolutely.
I don't think they have children like we do. So
Right.
I think they're one of the things is so first like Adam and Eve I don't think had sex to procreate to make a child. Like that's just my personal belief
At
because
first,
you
no.
know you start it starts getting into well then how to I think it became a like yo let's just mix our DNA. So like I think even you could almost again this is just again I'm just speculating you and another dude could be like yo we're just mixing it's not a sexual thing we're just like yo again it couldn't be a dude maybe it had to be a girl but there would be no incest because you're just mixing there wouldn't be like you're not penetrating it's just like how seeds and flowers work you know what I mean humans maybe our means of reproduction were totally different and that's how we were able to get multiple people without all the sorts of deformities from just Adam and Eve. Because everybody
But
like,
here's
oh
the thing,
well,
though. No, no, no.
if it
You're
was
wrong
only
on that,
incest,
though. That
That's
incest doesn't
so
that
the
didn't
deformity.
cause deformities.
Yeah, it could be a lie that they're saying that, oh, incest causes deformities or whatever.
Sure,
That
yeah,
could
hey,
just like the ball, just to keep us
Yeah,
from not doing it.
could
yeah,
And
be,
here,
you know.
right?
because
Like,
it separates the bloodlines.
well,
They were
incest is really nasty because we put our own understanding on, ooh, that's nasty, right? But I mean, Adam and Eve, if they heard about what people are doing now with sex, they'd be like, oh, you guys are freaky,
well,
you're
you
nasty,
gotta
right?
And I don't
remember.
think they weren't brother and sister. You know,
Oh,
they weren't.
brother and
No,
I
right.
think that's it's, I mean, again, we don't know if you're taking the like Bible literal, so like Adam and Eve were on the ground banging. Yeah, it seems, but we don't know the function of
that,
anything. We don't know
Noah
how the world worked back then. We don't
had
know.
and knew
So
that they had sex, like Cain knew his wife, you know what I mean? Like,
And so did Adam. It says Adam knew Eve.
knew,
yeah, but
So
that means, to me, that could mean uh, any form of, because in my opinion, Adam and Eve were more advanced than we were.
oh
Like, I
yeah,
don't believe he needed to. I don't think he needed to walk. If he wanted to get to another part of the Eden, he could just teleport. He could just like, oh, this is where I want to be, and he would just appear there. Like, and I
who knows?
think, if he wanted to talk to Eve, he didn't need to verbally talk to her. He could just communicate telepathy with her. That's where I think all of these ideas came from. They didn't make these things up. Like teleportation, I think was real. It was something we used to be able to do, just like speaking through the minds, but we've been watered down and that has been removed from us. So if you can kind of see like, okay, they were able to do that, then maybe like their form of procreation was different. Maybe they gave,
I don't
maybe they
think
were
their
able to
form
make a
of
full form
procreation was
human.
different. That I don't believe. But like doing the other things, I kind of do. Because I mean, you look at there's maps of the world that are hundreds and hundreds of years old in detail, and there's no way they could know the different continents and land masses without being up in the air. So either it was brought down by fallen angels, or one way or another, humans could actually maybe, like you say, fly around to a point, like move
Well,
without being
because
bound to the
it
earth. I don't know
it
that.
makes me think like God wouldn't create. Like I look at myself and like humans, and I'm like, man, like I don't feel like this is what He created. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we are His creation, but I feel like we've been, however they've
And
affected genetics. They're slowly. We're getting smaller, I believe. I believe we used to be bigger, and that
Absolutely.
was the whole.
Huge back in the day. Huge. I
Yeah,
believe that.
and that was one of my whole thoughts was that like Adam wasn't physically afraid of anything. There was no animal on earth that would even contend his or Eve for that matter. They were just they were bigger than anything. So it's not like
And
a
yeah,
tiger would attack them.
they knew that they were above them. I believe animals talked audibly. I believe Adam and Eve could have conversations with them, and vice versa. When that serpent talked to Eve, she wasn't like, "Hey, you can talk," or
Yeah, 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 yeah. True, true.
neither Adam or Eve were startled or like, "God, how can that serpent say that? How is it?" It was just like on every normal day, a serpent come and started talking and told her this, and the both of them took of the fruit and ate. I mean, that's still. I mean, I've held that belief for a long, 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 long time that they could communicate with those animals like communicating right now, and
Yeah,
there's no
hey,
way to
that's.
prove that differently because there's many times throughout the Bible where animals spoke.
Let me tell you, this is a true story. My dog, I used to have a dog. It was a German Shepherd Doberman, and he was very good. He never like bothered me. And one day, like he was like kind of like jumping on me and like really like being annoying. And I remember I just went. I was like, "What? What do you want?" And he went, "Ah!" Like he like kind of whined, and it sounded like otter. It would sound like water to me. I was like, "That's it
Okay.
sound like he just said water."
Oh
And I
my
was like, "You want
gosh.
water?" I went up. I checked. His dish was empty. I filled it up. He just started drinking. And I was like,
Oh my
well,
gosh.
get the fuck out of here. I was like, okay, well, dogs, maybe
I
they know
believe
the
that,
words. Their vocal cords have just been fucked to where they can't speak. You know what I mean?
and I think it's all because
So,
of sin. I think it's because of sin. It's a curse.
like, I
yeah.
It's a
agree.
curse. I mean, because I got my dog, I got a Papillon, and he almost tries to talk all the time. I mean, it's amazing when you just kind of start talking to him and petting his head or his neck or something. He literally is tries to speak.
Yeah,
I
people won't
can't
believe
understand
it,
a
but
single thing, but it's not like he
yeah,
just
that's.
like
I think
oh
they.
like he's
That's
purring
why
like
they're
a
like
cat
so
would.
cool. They know like they're like yeah we I just if I could just tell you I know like so yeah no, it's I definitely believe like animal community and that's they want you to be afraid of animals. You know, they're always, oh, you're going to get attacked by a lion, attacked by a, you know, a
Shark.
this, by a that, by a shark, a shark attack. You know, it's like, yeah, they want you to fear what like used to fear you. You notice how like every time you see an animal, it runs from you. Like, I think
Yep.
animals are like instinctually afraid of humans. It's just
Yep.
they're like, no, like,
Yep.
yeah, it's all
I mean,
part of
even
that
bears for the
fucking
most
fear.
part. You know, even though a grizzly will tear you to shreds, if but I mean, for
Yeah,
the
well,
most part,
that
they'll
if
even. But
it's
even them, for the most part,
they,
will stay away from you.
I
You know, unless
seen
they're
one
sick,
video.
starving, or got little cubs.
This dude was sitting in a chair, and like the grizzly kind of comes like wandering over and like kind of
Yeah.
sits next to him. I guess he didn't see him, and then the guy like moved to run away, and the grizzly ran away.
That
I was like,
by
yeah,
that
yeah,
river, right?
both. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
They were
just seen
like, they're
that.
both as. It was crazy, you know. But the
Yeah.
grizzly bear was just as afraid as the human when he saw motion. You know, it's not like he pounced on him. He was like, oh shit, a fucking human, get out of here. You
Yeah,
know,
I
so
know.
yeah, no, that's one of those. Again, they're selling you a lie, man,
Absolutely.
and this is one of my. Don't just flatten the ball. You
Lie.
know, reject everything.
Amen. Amen. Well, brothers, I got
Outstanding content, guys.
so
Really.
glad to have you on again, Kris. Good to hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no, good stuff, man.
Please put comments in the comment section. Please subscribe. I mean, pass the show along if you really like it or you think someone will benefit from it. And you know, peace out, right? God bless you.